This will change everything for the Toronto Blue Jays offseason. They want to be active. They want to be in on a lot of the marquee free agents, but will that even be possible with the dark cloud of Vladdy leaving in 1 year's time hanging over the franchise's head? We'll break that down and much more on this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. Welcome in, everybody, to 3 Up, 3 Down. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, and today we're going to be breaking down the importance of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extension, and this changes everything for the Toronto Blue Jays offseason. If they want to go out and acquire talent, they need to sign this guy long-term and show other free agents that they're going to be competitive in 2025 and in years beyond that. So let's get straight into the video. Let's not waste any time. This was an article on MLB.com by Keegan Matheson, the beat writer for the Toronto Blue Jays. And I won't read out the whole thing, but basically it's saying this goes beyond Guerrero's numbers. It's about him embracing the city, being the superstar for Toronto that they've been wanting for a very long time, and being happy to be in that role. There is a version of this story that ends with Guerrero 162 games from now, walking away from the Blue Jays and playing a decade elsewhere. There's a version that ends with Guerrero being the one that got away, while the Blue Jays wrestle with the realities of missed opportunities and another rebuild. Vladdy, like Bo Bichette, is entering his final year of club control with the Blue Jays, and the will they or won't they extension talks will dominate the offseason. Absolutely, and if you've been following the Blue Jays, they have been rumored in a lot of big-time names like Alex Bregman, Juan Soto, of course, and a lot of free agents that could alter the course of the franchise heading into next year. However, if you're any of those guys, would you want to sign with the Toronto Blue Jays if there's uncertainty surrounding two of their best players in Vladdy and Bo? That is a big question mark that needs to be answered from Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins as the offseason rolls along. Now, I've said this to Bo and Vladdy. They have done powerful things already. General Manager Ross Atkins said. They've done them as a team. They've done exceptional things to win in the AL East. Not enough to their standards, nor mine, or the fans, but what they've accomplished already is exceptional, and there's a lot of good baseball ahead of them. I hope it's together. Blue Jay fans understandably would like to see more than a handful of 0-2 visits to the AL Wildcard Series before using the word exceptional, and the coming year can take many shapes, Bichette and even Juan Soto holding so much power in that, but Guerrero stands now as the heart of it all. So he is undoubtedly the most important piece to the Toronto Blue Jays puzzle right now, and getting him locked up signifies to other free agents that you are serious, that you want to win ball games, and that you are not okay with being mediocre, which, to be quite frank with you guys, the Toronto Blue Jays have been mediocre in years past. They've had great expectations. This was supposed to be the era that turns around the fortune of the franchise, and it has been anything but that. They've had multiple playoff failures. They have failed to win a single playoff game in the Guerrero and Bichette era, and the clock is ticking here. They are 1 year away from free agency. There is a dark cloud hanging over this squad right now, and in order for that to be dissipated, you need to sign at least Vladdy long term. He is the key piece. He is the key cog in this engine, and I like Bo as a player. I don't think he's as much of a game changer as some people make him out to be, but he's still an upgrade over anyone that was occupying the shortstop position this season for the Toronto Blue Jays. He had a down year. He'll be the first one to tell you that he was pissed off with the way that he played, but still, he is one of the better contact hitters in the game of baseball when he's healthy and when he's on the field, and he typically is healthy. He's a career .295 hitter. He's someone that the Blue Jays have relied on at the top of that order for a very long time now, and I expect that to continue if they can get a deal done here. He's still a very good player who is young, 26 years old. Vladdy is 25 years old, so maybe they haven't met the expectations that were set yet, but I still think there's a lot of great baseball left in them, which is what Ross Atkins is saying right here. there's a lot of good baseball ahead of them, and I hope it's together. Well, you have control over that. The Blue Jays have the advantage right now that they have these two in-house, and they can sign a deal. They can keep them as Blue Jays for life by making this happen, by keeping them in town and in tune. That will allow other free agents to come in and want to play with the team. So let's take a look at Vladdy's stats here. Obviously a very impressive season for him last year, the second best of his career. He's probably going to finish top 5 in MVP voting. You could even argue top 4, maybe top 3 if Gunnar Henderson falls out of the race, but he won't finish top 3. There's no way, but probably going to finish top 5, and deservedly so. Like he's a great player, and he had a great season. And even though the Blue Jays were out of it, he showed that he wanted to be a part of the solution, and he took strides as a hitter after a horrible first month this season for him. He really stepped it up after that, and he showed some great power. He showed flashbacks of his 2021 version where he finished runner-up in the MVP race to none other than Shohei Ohtani. So great stats for Vladdy here, and this is the point that I was trying to make, that agents know this, players know this. If you're Soto, Alex Bregman, Anthony Santander, or any other top free agent, that's going to be in question. That's going to be a question. Money always wins, but a free agent signing up to play with Vladdy will want to know if that marriage will last, or if a year from now they'll live in a different reality completely. Extending Guerrero during the offseason would also signal a full commitment from the Blue Jays to maintaining high payrolls, not just into 2025, but beyond that. Ownership has allowed this front office to spend record levels in this market, and the team has spent much of that money very wisely, particularly in the rotation. But a Guerrero extension would be the surest sign of that continuing. How this organization views 2026 and beyond, though, holds the power in all of this. So we've been hearing all offseason long from Ross Atkins, Mark Shapiro, that the Blue Jays want to be competitive in 2025. We don't know to what extent, but they want to be a playoff team again, and they want to be able to get back to the dance. And I think they can do that with some additions, of course. Because as it stands right now, the team is not good enough, and they're nowhere near good enough. They won 74 games this past season, and Bo Bichette was out for a significant portion of that. But Vladdy had a great year. I think that is something that you could build off of if you're the Blue Jays. And in order to do that, you need to make some major additions. You have holes at third base, you have a hole in the outfield, and you have some holes in the bullpen as well, which are even greater now that Genesis Cabrera has been waived and has elected free agency. So there are a lot of moves that need to be made here by the Toronto Blue Jays, and the clock is ticking. Free agency has officially begun as of yesterday, and some moves are already starting around Major League Baseball. We've seen some trades, we've seen some contract restructurings, guys staying with their teams. No huge dominoes yet have fallen, but a big domino here would be if the Blue Jays were able to sign Vladdy this offseason. Maybe he wants to test free agency, and that's a huge disadvantage to the Blue Jays because they've had him in-house for quite a while now, and they've had a chance to get this deal done. You see teams around Major League Baseball constantly locking up their young players right away, and as soon as they can go ahead and do that. So Vladdy, I think he's the cornerstone piece for the Blue Jays. They need to get this done. They cannot wait any longer. And if he hits free agency, then it's anybody's ball game. Anybody can go out there and sign him, and just getting him done, getting that contract done before this offseason wraps up will allow you to be more aggressive with other free agents. Because if you're signing him for a lot of money, it doesn't just make sense to stand pat and not make any adjustments to this roster. However, if you're spending $300 million on Vladdy, you're probably going to be more inclined to go out there and acquire pieces that are going to bring you closer to a World Series, and ultimately that's where the Blue Jays want to be. That'll wrap it up for this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. Thanks, guys, for making it this far, and thank you to Baseball Town as well for sponsoring this video. So check them out. They're in the link in the description down below, and they're your one-stop shop for everything that you need baseball or softball related. So check them out today. You won't be sorry, and I'll see you all tomorrow.